The IRS just released the 2024 retirement plan contribution and income limit changes. Now, first, I'm going to go through what those changes are to the different retirement plans. Then I'm going to go ahead and break it down for you so you can max out your retirement savings. So here we go. So here are the retirement plan contribution and income limits, and I have it compared to 2022, 23, and here are the new 2024 numbers. So starting right at the top with the 401k, 403b, most 457 plans, and the TSP, the max employee contribution or deferral is going to be $23,000, up from $22,500. Now, the total amount that could be contributed to the plan, including employer and employee contributions, is going to be $69,000. If you're 50 or older, you can do an additional $7,500, which is a catch-up contribution. That's going to bring that limit to $76,500. Now, this maximum is going to be the same for the solo 401k, but with the SEP IRA, it's only $69,000. That's because it's only employer funded. So really, it's just leaving off this $7,500, which is that a catch-up contribution, which is also an employee contribution. The maximum amount of compensation that can be included in these calculations is going to be up to $345,000. Moving on to the traditional IRA, the income limits, depending on your filing status and whether or not you have a plan. If you don't have a plan, there is no income limit, but if you do or your spouse does, then there are limits. So starting with the filing status of single, if you have a plan, that income phase out is going to go from $77,000 to $87,000. What that means is that if you earn over $87,000, you can't make a direct contribution to a traditional IRA. And by direct, I mean an after-tax contribution versus a pre-tax contribution. So if you're over those income limits, then you can do an after-tax contribution, but you can't do a pre-tax contribution. But it would be a reduced amount if your income is between these numbers, and if it's below $77,000, then you can make the full $7,000 contribution, which you could see right down here. Now, if you have an IRA that's phasing out for married filing jointly, you're covered by a workplace plan, then your income phase out is going to be from $123,000 to $143,000. Now, if you do not have a plan, but your spouse does, you still have an income limit, and that's going to go from $230,000 to $240,000. Again, these are phase outs. So if you're over these limits, then you cannot make a direct contribution or a pre-tax contribution to your traditional IRA. You can still do an after-tax contribution up to the maximum of $7,000. Now, going on to the Roth IRA, it has different income limits, but it's still going to be $7,000 maximum. Those numbers between the traditional and the Roth IRA are combined. So it's a maximum of $7,000 any way that you want to split it up. So the income limits for the Roth IRA, if you're single or head of household, is going to be $146,000 to $161,000. And for married filing jointly, that income phase out is going to go from $230,000 to $240,000. Now, the difference between these phase outs is that the traditional IRA depends if you have a plan. The Roth IRA does not. So even if you don't have any other plans, you could still get phased out for making a direct contribution if you're over these income thresholds. But you could still do a backdoor Roth conversion by making an after-tax contribution to the traditional IRA and then converting it over to the Roth IRA. So there's still a possibility that you can get money into the Roth IRA. It's just a matter of how you're going to do it. Now, if we take a look at the simple IRA, the max employee contribution is going to be $16,000. The catch-up is going to be $3,500, brings that total to $19,500. And there are also new limits on the savers credit. So you actually get a credit on your taxes if you're under these income thresholds. So for married filing jointly, that's going to be $76,500. For head of household, that's going to be $57,375. And for singles or filing separately, that's $38,250. So now let's go ahead and talk about the actual ways that you can max it out. And I broke these down monthly just so you can kind of get an idea of the adjustments that you need to make for either your Roth IRA or your 401k or other retirement plan. So let me go ahead and bring those up on the screen. So breaking down these retirement plans, I broke down the employee deferrals. So if you're saving monthly or 12 payments per year, that's going to be $1,917. Bi-monthly, which is 24 payments per year, that's $958. Bi-weekly, which is 26 pay periods, that's going to be $855. Or if you're doing it weekly, 52 payments for the year, that's going to break down to $442. Now, if you look at here, you could see the match and the after-tax contributions. Now, the after-tax contributions depends if your plan allows for it, but that could be an additional $46,000 between the match and the after-tax contributions, bringing that total to $69,000. Now for the Roth IRA, I did the same thing. I took that $7,000 and I broke it down by how often you get paid. And if you're paid monthly, you can break it down at $583. Bi-monthly, 24 payments, that's $292. Bi-weekly, that's $269, and weekly, that's $135. And again, I put what those income phase outs are for making a direct contribution to the Roth IRA. But again, you can make a backdoor Roth contribution to the same amount to still max out that $7,000. And for those super savers out there that want to know what the math looks like if you did this every single year, starting with the Roth IRA, if you maxed out your Roth IRA at $7,000 for 30 years at an 8% rate of return, that would equal $869,371. If you bump the 30 years to 32 years, that would get you over the $1 million mark. Now, if you focus on your retirement plan at work and look at the employee deferrals at $23,000 for that same 30 years, that same 8% rate of return, that would equal $2,856,522. And if you bump that up to $69,000, that would equal $8,569,566. And if you doubled up on both your workplace and your IRAs, that would equal $9,438,943. And that's the update for 2024. So save early and save often. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.